other nations over here now. So it's spreading like wildfire. It's spreading. We had two meetings with this one particular group, and both times it was larger, and they keep saying it's going to get larger, and now they're talking about putting us on planes and sending us out at their dollar. Strange, but these are the things that's happening, and these are other nations because they know where our people are at. They telling us, oh, it's y'all down here in Aswan, y'all over here in. They telling us where we at, and they want us to go in and get it to them. I love it. Now, so we talk about treacherous Judah, uh, backsliding children of Israel. I am married unto you. Jump down to verse 20.
Jeremiah 3 and 20. Surely as a wife treacherously departed from her husband,
Mm.
so have ye dealt treacherously with me, O house of Israel, saith the Lord.
As a wife has treacherously departed from her husband, so have ye dealt treacherously with me, O house of Israel, saith the Lord. Fellas, think about how treacherously you think of your wife if something like that happens. That's how the Lord looking at us. We need to incorporate his fear. Okay? Try to get a more stricter diet of the laws and commandments. It's here a little and there a little. Half the stuff you're not gonna be able to do if you're in the States just because you're there. That place is a stumbling block. But here a little, there a little. But seek and observe to do all of them. It's our freedom. Go to Proverbs chapter 14. Wrong way.
Proverbs 14.
Proverbs chapter 14, read verse 1.
Proverbs 14 and 1. Every wise woman buildeth her house, but a foolish plucketh it down with her hands.
Every wise woman buildeth her house. What is he saying? He's saying keep it sustained, keep it well ordered, even keep the people in it alive. But the foolish plucketh it down with her hands. A foolish wife. Now, I want to get into a particular wise woman's story. Because from this story, we're going to be able to pull out a lot of truth from it. A lot of truth. Let's get, his name is Abigail. We're going to get it in 1 Samuel, chapter 25. And that's why earlier I was saying, regardless of what your husband's doing, you still have obligations to the kingdom. Okay? And after we cover the story, it might look good, in a lot of people's favor. It might. Um, let's start at verse. Let's start at verse 1. Go ahead.
1 Samuel 25 and 1. And Samuel died, and all the Israelites were gathered together and lamented him, and buried him in his house at Ramah. And David arose and went down to the wilderness of Paran. And there was a man in Maon whose possessions were in Carmel. And the man was very great, and he had 3,000 sheep and 1,000 goats, and he was shearing his sheep in Carmel.
Okay. So we got a man who is kind of wealthy. Okay. He got 3,000 sheep. Sounds like he good. Go ahead and read.
Now the name of the man was Nabal,
Mm-hmm.
and the name of his wife was Abigail.
So you got Nabal, who was the man of Israel, his wife Abigail, who was a woman of Israel. Go ahead.
And she was a woman of good understanding and of a beautiful countenance.
She was what kind of woman?
A woman of good understanding and of a beautiful countenance.
Good understanding. The scriptures say understanding comes by obedience of the law. So for this book to say that she was a woman of good understanding, that means she was a woman who stuck to the script of the law. You understand? And it says she was beautiful. What more could a man ask for? What more could he want? You dig me? Go ahead.
But the man was churlish and evil in his doings.
The man was churlish and evil in his doings. I want to pull that up on Eastward real quick. What the heck? What's that? First Samuel 25. I want to look that word churlish up out the Hebrew so we can have a more solid understanding on what this is saying. What verse was that? Okay. So verse 25, and she was a woman of good understanding and of beautiful countenance, but the man was churlish and evil. So Nabal, talking about Nabal. Churlish means severe, cruel, grievous, hard-hearted, sorrowful, stiff-necked, stubborn. So this man was all these things: grievous, cruel, hard-hearted, stiff-necked, stubborn, and evil. So if you got a woman who the scripture would say is of a good understanding, that means she kept the law. But if this man is churlish and evil, he kept no law. So it's pretty much kind of on some Satan worship type stuff. All right, let's get back to the reading. We'll leave off at.
We had 25. We had 3 in the middle of 3.
Hold on, let me see if I can fast forward this. Yeah, let me talk and fast forward this. So what happened was David sent his servants by there, and the man's response to them, David's man went by there to get some food, and the way the man responded to them caused a series of events that will prove whether this woman is wise and buildeth her house, or foolish and plucketh it down with her hand. Jump down to verse 9.
1 Samuel 25 and 9. And when David's young men came, they spake to Nabal according to all those words in the name of David, and ceased.
So they came to Nabal and told him, in the name of David, we need this, we need that, help us with this. So I pray that we find favor. But his response was, read verse 10.
And Nabal answered David's servant and said, Who is David? And who is the son of Jesse? There be many servants nowadays that break away every man from his master.
So he called them mere servants and nothing, slaves. This is David, the king of Israel at this time. Right? Go ahead, read verse 11.
Shall I then take my bread and my water and my flesh that I have killed from my shearers and give unto men who I know not whence they be?
Read.
So David's young men turned their way and went again and came and told him all those sayings. And David said unto his men, Gird ye up every man his sword. And they girded on every man his sword. And David also girded on his sword. And there went up after David about 400 men, and 200 abode by the stuff.
So this man got a troop of armed men, these killers. At this time, David was, putting it down out here in the Middle East. So these boys is natural born killers at this time. And they about to go and kill Nabal. Just because how he entreated the name of David. Read verse 14.
But one of the young men told Abigail, Nabal's wife, saying, Behold, David sent messengers of the wilderness to salute our master, and he railed on them.
Okay? Jump down to verse 18.
Then Abigail made haste and took 200 loaves and 2 bottles of wine and 5 sheep ready dressed and 5 measures of parched corn and 100 clusters of raisins and 200 cakes of figs, and laid them on ashes.
Go ahead.
And she said unto her servant, Go on before me. Behold, I came after you. But she told not her husband Nabal. And it was so, as she rode on the ass, that she came down by the covert of the hill, and behold, David and his men came down against her, and she met them.
So what she did was she knew that they was denied a feast. She prepared the feast instantly. As soon as she got wind that these men was coming to slaughter them. Go down to verse 23.
Verse 23. And when Abigail saw David, she hasted and lighted off the ass and fell before David on her face and bowed herself to the ground.
So when she saw David, she jumped off the donkey, prostrated herself at the feet of David. Go ahead.
And fell at his feet and said unto me, upon me, my Lord, upon me, let this iniquity be, and let thine handmaid, I pray thee, speak in thine audience, and hear the words of thine handmaid.
So what she is saying here is, David, what you're going to go do, and the reason you're going to do it for, blame me for that. Okay? Let's jump down a little bit. So she entreated David to blame her for the iniquity, that she had no clue that his men came by the first time. She even called her husband. Where is it at? What did she say about this joker?
25.
Is it 25? Read 25.
Let not my Lord, I pray thee, regard this man of Belial, even Nabal, for as his name is, so is Nabal is his name, and folly is with him.
Hold on. So this is this man's wife. She standing in front of David and she said, the man of Belial, pretty much the son of Satan. She said his name, pretty much let David know that he worships Belial. But he said at the end, finish reading that?
But I, thine handmaid, saw not the young men of my Lord, whom thou didst send.
She said she didn't know that they came. So she's trying to take the iniquity of the house. She is offering David this feast and her life. She's offering her life for the life of her evil and churlish husband. Can you go down to verse 32?
And David said to Abigail, blessed be the Lord, power of Israel, which sent thee this day to meet me. And blessed be the advice, and be thou, which hast kept me this day from coming to shed blood, and from avenging myself with mine own hand. For in very deed, as the Lord, power of Israel, liveth, which have kept me back from hurting thee, except thou had hasted and come to meet me, surely there had not been left unto Nabal by the morning light any that pisses against the wall.
He was serious as heck. He was serious as heck. He said, I was going to kill everything that can take a leap. You understand? He was going to kill everything. So, because of this woman who was of good understanding, and plus she looked good, so I'm sure David was just absolutely shocked that this woman was coming to him with this much understanding, offering all these foods for David's personal feast, and even laying down her own life, asking David not to go in there and kill my son. My husband. Let's finish reading. Read 35.
So David received of her hand that which he had brought him, and said unto her, go up in peace to thine house. See, I have hearkened to thy voice, and have accepted thy person.
He said, I'm not going to kill y'all. Read verse 36.
And Abigail came to Nabal, and behold, he held a feast in his house, like the feast of a king. And Nabal's heart was merry within him, for he was very drunken. Wherefore she told him nothing, less or more, until the morning light.
So this man had 400 armed killers, probably about a half a mile outside his house. And he in there having a feast like a king. He in there sloppy drunk. And his wife is a half mile up the road, probably on her knees, begging for her life in front of other men. Evil and churlishness don't get you nowhere, fellas. Read the next verse.
But it came to pass in the morning, when the wine was gone out of Nabal, and his wife had told him these things, that his heart died within him, and he became as a stone.
Next verse.
And it came to pass about 10 days after that the Lord smote Nabal, and he died.
Now, let me bring forward what was so virtuous about this woman. Now let's bring it to our own perspective today. us who try to keep the commandments, keep the laws, we get kind of frustrated with people who don't, or people who would argue that, or even a spouse who would argue that. Right? Am I right?